favorite place to get coffee. They're an awesome coffee roaster. And yes, I am making a shameless plug for them right now. They're out of Pennsburg, and it is a delight to drink their coffee. They have all different kinds of flavors, and I have a friendship with the owner, Nelson. He's one of my close friends. And see, I'm sharing this with you today because I decided to pop into a different space than I normally am, or I mean, not that I'm normally any place, it seems, with these midweek messages, but we're having this great discussion about life. And Nelson and I have a lot of things in common. We've known each other for years. But one of the things I love about the friendship we have is we can be real and open with each other. So today I want to share with you something that I find very real coming out of Proverbs 15. It's one verse, it's one proverb. By the way, if you ever read the Proverbs, you can get convicted very quickly. You can also look at some things and be like, well, duh. But yet at the same time, if you get convicted, that means you might have had a well duh for somebody else. And I think that's important to remember, is I think sometimes we forget what someone else might be experiencing on the other side. This verse, a happy heart makes the face cheerful, but heartache crushes the spirit. Duh, right? I mean, that's obvious. Like if someone's happy, you get a cheerful face. If someone's going through stuff, the crushing the spirit, though, that might not be something that we see all the time. I want to share this with you because I think it's important for us to be reminded that what someone is going through in a painful state, we might want to just get them cheerful, right? Like I read this and I might say, a happy heart makes the face cheerful. I need to get that person to a happy heart because they'll be cheerful then, right? Or for us to be thinking about that heartache crushes the spirit, how do we put ourselves on their playing field, their side of the fence? How do we look at it from their point of view? This past Sunday, we talked about points of view. If you remember in the sermon, if you don't remember in the sermon, then you need to go back and watch it. It's on the YouTube channel here. But seriously, like when you think about this concept of a cheerful heart, a happy heart, like it's easy for us to identify there. But when we look at trying to identify with someone's pain, that's where it gets a little harder. Recently, there's been some stuff going on in my space, and when I ask for help, sometimes I get what I call the Sunday school answer. Oh, God's in it. Everything's going to be okay. Or, oh, it's all going to be fine. Like, just pray about it. You'll have comfort. Well, yeah, I will eventually, but there's still pain there. And I think when I see these verses, that the discerning heart, in verse 14, it says, the discerning heart seeks knowledge, but the mouth of a fool feeds on folly. They're so close to each other, right? We're talking about the heart. So I wonder, like, if we're in heartache, what if we start to seek knowledge? What if we're not looking for comfort, but we start to seek knowledge? What if in the times of our pain and our struggle, we actually start to reach out and not look to feel all warm and cuddly, but maybe figure out how to get it done? I know for me in my life, when the hard things come, sometimes I just want to feel better. Like I want the cutesy cuddly moment. Like I want everything to be all right. But the reality is that maybe some of that heartache I've got to work through knowledge. And maybe for me to get to a happy space where I can be more cheerful, it's actually going to take me working through things. What I'm finding recently with people is that more and more we're looking for the feel-good moments, and we're not trying to work through it and process things. We want God to come down and wipe everything clean. Have you been there? Do you know what I'm talking about? I get there a lot with stuff. Like I just want God to make it all good. But there's a reality that if we seek knowledge, if we go after these things and we try to figure it out and work through it, we're going to get there. We have a mind, a body, and a soul, right? If we want to get better physically, we have to learn how to work out right. If we want to get closer to God, we seek and learn how to get closer to Him. We read the scripture, we engage with other teachings that people have. And guess what? If you're having issues with your emotions and the way you're feeling and stuff, that's a brain thing, and you've got to work on that. You've got to seek the knowledge. It's not just going to all of a sudden happen. Now, don't get me wrong. I think you can sit and pray on things and you can find hope in God. Don't get me wrong. But I think if you're trying to work through a situation, you have to seek knowledge to get through it. I believe that if you want to learn how to fix something in your life to make it better, you've got to seek that knowledge. Because I believe that when your spirit is crushed, when you have the heartache and your spirit is crushed, that's a deeper issue going on, and you need the knowledge to work your way out of it, to discern out of that. The Proverbs are filled with all these little quirks and things, and it's interesting when you actually stop and pull one out and look at it and spin it around and kind of see where it might be and where it's coming from, and then you take it and make it into yourself, you might find that you know more than you think. This concept of having a happy heart, to make a cheerful face, it's not a standard. It's not always there. Again, we look at this and it says that, but heartache crushes the spirit. I believe that this isn't necessarily just a call on how we are supposed to be. I think a lot of times people read this and say, okay, I've got to get happy so that I have a cheerful face again. I need to be cheerful. No, what they're saying here is that, look, if there's heartache, someone's spirit is going to get crushed. Know this. And right after, it's the discerning heart seeks knowledge. So look, if you're discerning from someone else that they're in pain, don't be like the fool and feed on folly, but listen to that person where they're at in their heartache. Try to put yourself in their shoes a little bit. Try to figure out where they're at. See, when you engage people that are in heartache, you need to not just flip out verses and say, hey, God's going to make everything okay because everything's done for the glory of God. I don't think you can go there all the time. I mean, eventually, sure. But when you're working through a painful situation, that pain's there. As Nelson and I were talking about some painful situations, that he reminded me that Jesus sweat blood before the cross, and how often we just roll over the blood sweating. I don't want to sweat blood. I don't want to even think that that's how it's going to be. But do you know what I mean? Like, there's some realities to this. There's some things that I think in time we need to look at and we need to understand. So remember that when someone's in heartache, their spirit's getting crushed. Take some time, even for yourself. Maybe you're in heartache right now and you need to work on your spirit. Seek out some knowledge. Read some books, listen to some podcasts. Grab a pastor. Grab a therapist. Sit down and have those conversations. Start to work through that heartache, because God doesn't want you to sit in it. He doesn't want you to stay there. He wants you to get to a happy, cheerful place. He does. He wants good things for you in your life. His intention is not to create you so awesome and amazing that your life is going to be crappy the whole time. No, he's created you for good things. So he doesn't want you to stay there. He wants you to help and discern in that process. He wants to be in your space. He's created you beautifully and wonderfully made, and there's so many great things in this world that you can grab a hold of. But again, we have to make that choice to work through that. God is not going to just wave the magic wand, throw the fairy dust down, and everything's okay. So your final word picture on this is coffee. As I'm sitting here in a coffee roaster today, if you grab coffee just as a bean, fresh off of the plant, and you drop it in hot water, you're not getting a really good cup of coffee. But what I found is that this process of roasting, this beautiful creative process that somewhere back in the day, I'm not really good on the history of coffee. All I know is this, man, when I'm here at the roastery and chilling here at Speakeasy Coffee, and I'm smelling that fresh roasted coffee, and there's so many different ways to roast it, there's so many things, but there is a fire being applied, there was a stripping of the bean, there's a soaking, there's a process. Folks, hear this. If you're in pain, there's a process to get out of it. The Bible tells us time and time again, but it takes relationships, it takes getting closer to God, getting closer to people, and about sharing. You can't walk on your own. You've got to get knowledge into the space. You've got to become vulnerable, and your heartache needs to be opened up so that your spirit's not crushed anymore, and one day you can have a cheerful face. It's not easy. It's not simple, but it's effective. So remember, go through your week and be awesome. Just take it step by step. Feel free to like this. Feel free to share it. Don't forget to tell your friends to subscribe, because we're here every week trying to encourage people with the love of God. So you have an awesome week, and God bless.